The team that's working with me now has been with me for 14 years. I think everybody experienced this really horrific period in their life. You know, no income, lots of debt, can't pay anything. This team that has been together, I think that concentrated stress binds them together.
Hello, everyone. Today, my podcast guest is Melih from SmartFinds Marketing. Melih, thank you for joining us. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about your company.
Carl, great to be on your show. Thank you very much for having me as a guest. My name is Melih. My last name is Oztalay. I am the CEO of SmartFinds Marketing. We are a 38-year-old marketing agency out of the Detroit metro area. And I know 38 years sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. I've been through quite a number of changes over the years, as you can imagine. We are a full service B2B marketing agency. And as you can imagine, we we cover a very broad ground of different types of work, digital work, technology work, marketing work with our clients and with who are tend to be like mid to large corporations. We have a fairly decent sized team. We got
Mhm.
25 that comprise creative and technology and marketing and writers. Everybody's in the Detroit metro area. And I'm fortunate to say, I'm very happy to say, I should say, and fortunate that my current team has been with me now for 14 years. It's a
You
nice,
must
it's
be
a,
you must be
it's a
doing
nice
something
family.
right.
It's a nice family. You know, I, I've I've had people ask me that question. Are you doing something right? And I said, well, I agree that there's part of it is my leadership style. Okay, that's
Hmm.
fine. But I also have to say this, and we have to keep this in mind. The team that's working with me now has been with me for 14 years. Now, if you ask me, well, why haven't they been with you for 20 years or 15 or more? Well, that's because of that silly thing called the financial crisis back in late 2008, going into 2009, early 2010. It was a complete disaster, and you have to think of Detroit. As a just a desolate town during that time frame. In
Hmm.
2009, they were shoveling people out of the Detroit area, and I think what's the reason I'm saying this as it relates to the fact that this team has been together. I think everybody, even though we all didn't know each other during
Hmm.
2009, everybody experienced this really horrific period in their life. You know, no income, lots of debt, can't pay anything. I don't know, take your pick, right? I mean, the list goes on and on in terms of what it felt like to live in Detroit during that time frame for those of us
Hmm.
who stayed, right? There's a
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
bunch of people that said, I can't deal with this. I need to find a job, and they moved. For me, it was about, hey, I've got a company. I'm holding my ground. I'm going to press forward on this. But then again, this team that has been together, I think, it's kind of like, when soldiers are in war and they have, this
Hmm.
that concentrated stress binds them together. And I think over here, everybody has that very similar um, experience, and
Hmm.
everybody went through it together. That, in my opinion, is one of the glue, a portion of what's keeping everybody together, because we all understand
Interesting.
each other as far
Yeah,
as what
yeah.
we experienced during that time. And so, yeah, it's like I said, it's been great having this team together. There's always a little bickering going on. How can there not be? But at the end of the day, everybody can sit at the dinner table together, so I'm good with
No,
that.
listen, that's awesome. Congratulations. 30 years, that's no small feat. This is impressive. Especially being in the tech space, having
Yep.
gone through so many changes. When you started, there's no social media. .com was when was the .com bubble? That was like you said before that as well, no?
Well, the dot-com bubble, it blew up in 2001. That's right.
Exactly,
It
yeah.
blew up in
So
2001. But I started the internet group in 94.
okay.
And We had a great time during the 1990s. It was
I bet, I
it
bet.
was the wild, wild west of the internet, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It was a lot of
So,
fun.
so that being said, you've seen all this. What was, and you mentioned, the financial crisis as one of the big hurdles. But
Yeah.
what was the most rewarding time of these 38 years?
I'm gonna pick two time frames. So
Okay,
listen, I can
that's
probably
fine.
pick more. I'm just gonna pick two. I'm gonna pick two.
Uh-huh.
So prior to the financial crisis in 2000, late 2008, Q4 2008 is when that happened. Prior to the financial crisis, between 2004 and 2008 timeframe, that was another wild, wild west time frame. All of a sudden, every business out there was flocking to the internet. All of a sudden, they took it more seriously, right? It was like brewing after 2000, but then 2004 hit, Google went public, boom, start all of a sudden everybody came and started putting
Hmm.
more budget into the internet for advertising, for marketing, websites, take your pick, everything that you can imagine. During that time frame, it was an amazing period for us. I mean, it
Hmm.
was kind of funny. I didn't really need to sell anybody. Actually, I was being, it was more like we were going to a meeting. I took a work order with me and we signed it
Yeah,
right there. That type of a thing.
that's
That's how
awesome.
crazy that time frame was. So there was a lot
Hmm.
of fun. The other part of time I'm going to mention to you, which is I think you're going to find it interesting, is the pandemic. And the
Mm.
reason I'm going to pick the pandemic in this case is unlike the financial crisis where we were not prepared for that matter. Nobody was prepared for it. I mean,
Hmm.
you could have graduated from, with a master's in business out of any type of university. You still wouldn't have been prepared for what happened with this financial crisis. But after the financial crisis, we made some serious decisions as far as what we're doing. And one of them was to get away from B2C and go to B2B. Why?
Mm.
Because B2C is where we had our biggest problem in terms of bills getting paid. When we went to B2B, we changed some of a lot of what we do in terms of the structure of the company and how we run our operations, etc. When the pandemic hit, we were coasting through it, honestly. Did our workload go down? It went down. Sure, it did. But from a financial standpoint, from terms of the team keeping it together and not feeling a pinch, it was beautiful, honestly. I mean, yes, it was a
Nice.
pandemic and we're all closed in. Except, you can go through all the negative sides of the pandemic all you want, but as a company, the idea that we were able to coast through it, unlike what happened during the financial crisis, yeah, believe me, that was another moment, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, but so during the pandemic, you said the workload went down,
Yeah.
but you still kept most, if not all, of your clients, you would say?
Kept the team. Yeah, the clients all were still there. They
Okay.
reduced the amount of work that they were doing, but it wasn't zero, number one.
Gotcha. Okay.
And because we were set up, not that I would have expected after the financial crisis to
Hmm.
live another crisis in such a short time frame. I mean, let's face it, that was like about a 10-year period, right? 10 years
Yeah,
later,
of
all of a sudden
course.
there's another crisis. But financially, we were in a much better position. We were
Yeah.
very strong, had no problems. As far as I care, the clients could have gone away and waited,
Yeah, you,
type
yeah,
of a
yeah.
thing. But no, no. And of course, with the workload going down, the team was still together. We actually rebranded ourselves. We came up with a new logo. We came up with a new brand, our new
Hmm.
website. We took the opportunity to just, I don't want to say stay busy, but probably take care of our own brand for a change.
Hmm.
And we just worked right through it until, things started to pick back up, just like they did in the financial
Yeah,
crisis,
yeah.
and just keep posting afterwards.
No, that's awesome. I mean, listen, I'm glad you guys had benefited in a way from the pandemic because there wasn't. Then I realized that there was an excess of online advertising because obviously people were not
Yep,
stepping out much. So glad to hear it. So now, just to recap, 38 years in business. You've seen the dot-com bubble. You've seen the financial crisis. You've been through the pandemic. Now there's a new big change that's upon us, which is AI.
exactly. Yep.
So tell me about how AI is impacting your day to day already, or how you anticipate that it will impact it in the future.
Yeah. So, one thing to note about myself and many of my team is that we're early adopters.
Hmm.
And you really have to be if you're going to be in this industry, honestly. If you're somebody who's trying to wait until something proves itself before you start using it, you're in the wrong business. We've gone from changes happening once a year to changes happening, geez, what, monthly? At least every
It's not
quarter.
weekly.
And so, yeah, exactly. And so you have to be able to figure out what you're going to, how you're going to adapt to this. And so, as you can imagine, we had an AI system that we were using prior to November 2022 before ChatGPT came out.
Hmm.
And that was our first entree into AI. But then when ChatGPT came out, all of a sudden, boom, there was a whole nother world of AI. And the question is, how do you use this tool? Um, and also, it's not about controlling the AI, it's about managing the AI, right? How do we use it to make us more effective, more efficient, to do more for our clients and generate better responses? And so, from an AI, from a 50,000 foot view, we try to figure out, well, how do we integrate this into marketing campaigns, into websites, into the content marketing, content development, et cetera, et cetera.
Hmm.
There's just a lot of things. But what I would say that if you think of from November 2022 to what we experienced this year in 2025 over these last 3 years, 2025, in my opinion, was most impactful. The amount of changes took place this year, number one, in terms of quantity, but also um, the variations, right? Now we have AI hitting everything. It's not just the GPTs, it's the tools that are out there, right?
Of
N8N,
course.
for example, right? You can create workflows. Well, you can
Hmm.
create workflows in ChatGPT, but now all of a sudden you can um, uh, you have image creation, right? So, generative engine optimization. Like, for
Hmm.
example, we went from search engine optimization, SEO, to answer engine optimization, AEO, after
Hmm.
roughly about Google's Hummingbird algorithm in 2013. And now we're in GEO, generative engine optimization, right? So we're going through
Hmm.
this process, and this process doesn't mean that you log into ChatGPT and do everything. There are other AI tools on the market that you have to figure out how to integrate. And so, yes, by all means, the number of changes, the types of tools,
Hmm.
mind-boggling. I mean, I've been on other podcasts in which we have I'm on two different podcasts where I have some regular show that I'm on, and we talk about AI all the time.
All
It's
the
like you
time, of
can't get
course.
away,
Of course.
can't get away from
So,
it.
so that being said, in your business, for the industries that you target, what would you say is the most useful tool, the most useful AI tool that you've used consistently?
Well, I consistently is ChatGPT. There's no question
Okay,
about it. I mean,
and
that's just
this is
the
for what, like contract generation, like
oh my
what do you
gosh,
use it the most for?
coding.
Okay.
If we need to do some code, like for example, if you need schema code or what's also known as JSON codes for web
Mm-hmm.
pages, just go to ChatGPT and ask it to create the JSON code for a specific URL, and it'll
Gotcha.
do it, right? It's nice and
Perfect.
simple.
Mm-hmm.
You need to create a script in a WordPress website, and you got to put something into the functions.php file. Boom, there's
Mm-hmm.
another way to do this. Um, Taking multiple data points to analyze a campaign result.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by that is
ChatGPT.
here's Google Analytics,
Of
here's Google
course.
Search Console, here is the email marketing campaign, here is, how many people are filling out forms on the website. I don't know, take your pick, multiple data
And
points and dump them
and
into ChatGPT
and do you feel
and
like you
have it
use
do the analysis.
yeah, no, 100%. And do you feel like you use more of the just regular GPT 5.0, or do you use the agent mode, deep
Uh,
research more?
yeah, definitely the 5.0 version.
Yeah.
No
Okay.
question about it. Yeah,
Gotcha. Gotcha.
absolutely.
So no, you don't feel any big difference when you try to use one of the GPTs or the deep research mode.
When you're saying deep research mode, I will say that yes, we do use deep research mode because one of the things, especially with a new client project or a new
Hmm.
campaign for a client, is to do the research strategy and planning up ahead, right? So the
Yep.
deep research mode definitely, it's obviously, it's helpful to be able to gather more insight, a deeper a deeper sense of what's going on. No, there's no question about that. But I look at it's one of those things, whether it's the image generator, if it's um, the workflow agents, right, that you can now do, whether it's ChatGPT on its own, ChatGPT deep research. I don't. It for me, it's all the
Gotcha.
same.
Okay. Yeah,
All
no
I'm
worries.
doing is just taking different plugins, so to speak, from
Yeah, yeah.
ChatGPT and figuring out,
So
how do I use it for that specific situation.
so now if you had like trying to put some, some metrics to this. If you had to determine, your work before ChatGPT, which you use quite a bit, and then your work after ChatGPT. Like what number could you associate with that? So for example, you said that you use it for coding, a lot for coding. So before that, I assume that one of your team members had to take care of all the coding, or maybe this is something you guys
Yep,
got contracted
exactly.
for.
Yep,
So now,
exactly.
tell me, like, in terms of numbers, what does ChatGPT able you to accomplish that you couldn't before?
I don't know. Somebody might say I'm exaggerating, but I will tell you that in terms of numbers, it's a 100% increase in
Okay.
eh, eh, in terms of what an individual is able to do from our team. Okay.
Gotcha.
And I think the best way to put it, and when we talk about using AI and becoming more efficient and more
Hmm.
effective, on the efficiency side, let's face it, there's always like this small little nugget of something that you need to do, right?
Hmm.
And let's just use your example of coding, right? Well, that little piece of nugget, we would pass off to the tech team, and it's just
Yeah,
wasting their time when they should be working on much bigger
of
projects,
course.
much, yeah, for lack of better words, more important things than trying to figure out what these little nuggets are all about. Now, imagine if you had, I don't know, 10 nuggets in a day. Well, you're taking up one person's time with these small little things that are just eating away at their time
Of
and
course.
making them less effective, right? And less efficient. And so now all of a sudden, these little things, boom, you're able to just take care of it with ChatGPT, and the team is able to take care of, what I would say the human being has to take care of, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And just
So
pass this other stuff aside.
so would you say that, like, in terms of the improvements that AI have given you, would you say that that's probably one of the top ones? Just these little tasks that
Definitely.
get done. Okay. And
Absolutely. No
now
question.
and now with all these AI tools that you're already using, what would you say is still a big challenge for yourself, your team, and your company?
I don't, yeah, I wouldn't go as far as saying it's a challenge, okay? But I
Okay.
would say that if I had to pick something that we need to become more effective in using, it's going to be it's the workflow agents. It's
Workflow.
a
Gotcha.
if you're familiar with N8N, for
Of
example, which
course.
is
Yep.
entirely
Yep.
designed
Mm-hmm.
for developers and creating workflows, that
Mm-hmm.
one's probably, several layers deeper in terms of its
Yes.
capabilities and what it's doing. On a macro level, though, ChatGPT came out with its own agent
Yeah.
workflow. So if I had to pick one thing right now to say, you know what, I wish our team would be more involved in this, I would say we need to figure out how to use the workflow process
Gotcha.
with AI and become more effective in that part. That won't take us very long, believe
Yeah, of
me.
course, of course. And I mean, before we wrap this up, Ellie,
Sure.
so obviously you said at the beginning that, learning how to manipulate it, learning how to manage AI, manage ChatGPT is what can really make the difference. So obviously, it's making your team more productive. Do you ever feel like AI will take over a lot of these roles for different employees who are in working for marketing agencies or for other types of agencies as well?
Um, so the what I had mentioned earlier is controlling AI versus managing AI, right? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying that we need to figure out how to manage AI. Controlling it means that you're reducing its capabilities to a point that you're just running off of fear, right? We don't want to do
Mm-hmm.
that. We want to be open, but we need to take a different perspective and a different approach, which I'm
Mm-hmm.
suggesting has to be what I call managing AI. So that's
Mm-hmm.
number one. Number two is um, depending on the types of jobs, rather than saying that AI is going to take away work,
Mm-hmm.
right, or it's going to force me to cut jobs. Okay. And again, this is entirely dependent on the industry and the type of
Of
work,
course.
right? I mean, we've heard of what Amazon is doing, we know what
Mm-hmm.
these large automotive manufacturers are doing and so on and so forth. That's all great. I also see some jobs are shifting to another type of job. So the
Yes.
human being from here is going to go to here. Okay, whatever that
Mm-hmm.
is. You're going to go from X, you're going to go to Y. It's not going to go away, but the human being is going to be doing something different. All that being said, like the example I gave you a bit ago, it's not about um,
Gotcha.
uh, letting people go. And I'm just going to use our team as an example. Rather, what we've been able to see is that the existing team is able to do more
That's awesome.
because of AI, right? Now, you could argue with me and say, well, that means you're not hiring. The problem is that the in our case, where AI is helping us, those little nuggets I was telling you about that just eat
Mm-hmm.
away at our day, right? So, and those are not nuggets that would require us to hire two or three people, okay? So,
Of
for our
course.
purposes, I will say that it's all about being able to do more, be effective, have 100% gain in the level of work that we're doing. And I don't think it's about being fearful. I also don't think that it's appropriate to put the fear factor out there and just cause everybody to be afraid of AI. And that just it's not the cat is out of the bag. It's not going back in the bag. Okay,
Could not
so
agree
so
anymore.
get
Could
over
not agree anymore.
it.
Yep,
Let's
yep.
move forward.
Well, well, listen, Millie, this was a lot of good insights. I think I love ending on a positive note such as this because, to your
Absolutely,
point, there is definitely that fear component that a few people are experiencing or dwelling on. And I'm glad that
unfortunately.
you were able to, yes, but I'm glad you were able to clarify that we should not be afraid of AI, and I completely agree with you. At the end of the day, learning how to manage it, learning how to use it to our advantage. I think this is the future.
Exactly.
So, Millie, thank you for your time. Really appreciate
Well,
you
thank you,
having
Carl.
you on here. And again, congratulations on 38 years. You don't hear this every
Thank you
day.
very much. I appreciate it. It was great being on your show, Carl.
Awesome.